Hi everybody, I'm Dave with Nelson Creek Farms, coming to you today with another episode of our tips and tricks for homesteading and prepping. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about something that's really near and dear to my heart. What I wanted to talk to you about today is what you're actually eating. Do you know what it takes to put food on your table from mass-produced farms that supply your grocery store? Well, this is one of the reasons why I think everybody should have their own gardens, grow their own crops, grow their own meats, and have at least a 15-month supply stored up, whether it be canned, freeze-dried, or whatever. You're gonna need 15 months worth of food saved up. Because folks, times are getting bad in case you haven't watched the news lately. Now before we go any further, let me stop right here for a second and explain the 15-month thing. Within a 15-month period, you should have at least one, if not two, cycles of being able to harvest food from your garden, meaning 1 to 2 complete seasons. Now that can stretch out your food consumption to upwards of 2.5, maybe even 3 years, depending on how big of a garden plot you put in and how much stuff you can harvest out of it. So 15 months is a good round number to use for calculating that sort of thing. Now, if you're like me and you take some 81 milligram aspirins once a day, find out how many you get in a bottle. You get 100 of them in a bottle, well, you need 4 bottles to make it through a year, okay? If you're taking 1 a day. So, if the expiration date's 2 to 3 years out, buy that amount and keep it on hand. Just remember to rotate through it to keep them fresh and keep the ones that are expiring the soonest up to the front for you to grab. Okay, that's all you need to do. Just keep rotating them through. So medicines is another one you need to be stocking up on. Now some I know you can't get for more than a 30-day supply or something. Now I don't know what to tell you to do on that. But some of the over-the-counter stuff that has a shelf life of a year or two, keep some of that in stock. I know the lighting isn't real good on this. We're starting to cloud up and temperatures are going to be dropping down from the upper 80s and low 90s down into the 50s by Thursday this week. But that is a famous potato field from the state of Idaho. 2 days ago, all that vegetation on top of those potato plants was the most luscious green stuff there ever was. Several days ago, a couple of big tanker trucks showed up and a great big John Deere weed sprayer contraption. They filled that weed sprayer thing full of whatever, and that stuff they apply to all the potato leaves and vines to kill it. Yeah, so let's take a closer look at what's left. This is it, folks. Look at this. Everything's dead, like it's been sprayed with some sort of chemical like Roundup or 2,4-D or any typical number of weed killers. Now back up until the mid-80s, we were using what we called vine rollers out here in Idaho. It was basically a long steel bar anywhere from 10 to 15, 20 foot wide that had truck hubs on it that would fit loose. They weren't bolted to it like you would on a vehicle. They were just a bar run through the hole in the middle. They would mount tires on those rims and then attach them to those hubs. And the tires were usually filled full of concrete to make them heavy. So what they would do is they'd hitch that up behind a tractor and drag that over the vines to crush them and break them down. That's how they used to dry them before they started putting man-made chemicals on this stuff to kill the vines like that in 2 days. The FDA says the stuff they put on this is safe for human consumption because it has a real short shelf life. I'm going to call bull on that. That stuff's going to build up over time in the ground and in the plants and in your body, and it's going to cause problems. So please, folks, try to eat healthier. Now, the practice of vine rolling, like I said, it disappeared probably in the 80s when this chemical stuff was introduced. You'd have to look up yourself on Google or whatever to find out what they're using, see what the shelf life is. But folks, I don't care. It's still a dadgum chemical they're putting in your food. Next up is, how are you going to water your garden plot? Now, fortunately, my farm's water comes from reservoirs that are fed by the winter's melt snowpack from up there on the mountains. Yes, on occasion the canal company does put some stuff in their water to kill mosses and that sort of thing that's growing in the canal system. However, they let the growers know when this is going to happen, and you can have your water shut off for that time period until that system gets flushed out and you get fresh water again. So you do have to keep on top of that if you're getting your water like I do. If you get your water through a city municipality into something like this or a hose connection on the side of your house, you might want to keep one thing in mind. I'm not trying to scare you any, but city water plants often add fluoride to supposedly help your teeth to domestic water coming through the city's systems. Plus, they add chlorine to the system to help get rid of any bugs and moss and stuff and microbes that might be in the city water supply, making it safer to drink. Some folks have even figured out how to use what they call gray water to water their garden plots with. Say a clothes washer discharge or the water drain from a shower, for example. You can't use a toilet or like a kitchen sink drain where you might have food particles getting into it from a garbage disposal or a dishwasher. But something like a bathtub or shower drain, you can take that water in some locations and actually put it on your garden to help water it. The soap will act kind of like a little bit of a fertilizer, might help stuff grow a little bit. But you have to be careful of county, city, and local regulations on doing that, because some places it is very frowned upon. Now, I have a domestic well for water for the house and for out here in the show area and a few other places around the farm. I have it tested regularly just to find out what's in it. Right now, we're inching up in nitrates, which isn't necessarily a good thing. And the reason why is because of a feedlot right south of me. Their runoff, we'll call it good at that, from the cattle is seeping down through the porous rocks underneath the ground and getting into the groundwater supply. So eventually, our nitrate levels will be so high, I'll have to put in a water purification system just to be able to drink the water without giving myself problems. Now, by no means am I saying you need to get rid of livestock or animals in your area or whatever, but you do need to be aware of which way your groundwater runs towards your place and what is upstream of it. So please, people, if you can, strongly consider putting in a garden next year. I know this year is probably too late unless you live in the southern states, and if you do, by all means, go ahead and start planting stuff that is appropriate to your area to grow during the winter months. And like I said, it wouldn't be a bad idea to stock up 15 months worth of preserved food out of your gardens and or canned in either your own glass jars or from the grocery store. But for heaven's sakes, strike up a conversation and get to know your local grower that goes to the farmer market. Join a CSA. Whatever you need to do to get food, because lawlessness is coming, folks. Look at what's going on down there in the south right now. What is it? New Mexico's governor is banning guns in 2 counties as a safety measure for public safety. Folks, they're going to grab the guns. Once they do that, they have control of the country. They have control of you and me. I don't want to be a spook person or, somebody causing some conversation that's a bunch of bogus BS. But folks, I'm really getting worried that we're going to be in for the dark ages. And heaven help us if we get into a civil war in this country, because there's going to be at least one country that's going to think that they can come over here and take care of us while we're being distracted elsewhere. So yeah, folks, food is a weapon. That's an old adage from World War II, from the land girls over in England and here in the United States when they were talking about growing victory gardens. So if you can, grow your own food. Grow your own produce, meats, veggies, whatever. Grow it. Now, another thing, if you can, and not get in trouble with city laws or county ordinances or whatever, try setting up a rain barrel water collection system if you can. Yeah, now, cedar shingles, 3-tab shingles aren't the best idea for that, because stuff comes off of it. You're going to get mud and junk and all sorts of little gravel and grit in your water systems. If you can, put on a metal roof. Now the reason why I said use a metal roof, if you can, is because the metal roof is going to have less material coming off of it in the way of what I called mud earlier. This is actually the cedar shingles rotting. Yeah, that's the wood deteriorating and washing off in a hard rain. You've got the little grit that makes up the surface of the 3-tab roofing. That little gravel can come washing down, get in your gutters and get into your water distribution systems. Not a huge thing. You still have to clean it out every once in a while, your tanks that is. But if you can, use a metal roof, metal gutters, and you'll find that the water getting into your rain barrels is going to be a lot cleaner and easier to use because you don't have to clean it as often. The other plus side to the rain barrels is it's free. Yeah, so who doesn't like free? Now, I'm not telling you what to do, but folks, right now you'd better start Googling all this stuff on Google, on the internet, while we still have an internet, and fix up something for yourselves to protect you and yours, because you're going to need it. Conspiracy theorist. That was the phrase I was looking for a little bit ago. I don't mean to sound like one, but folks, the handwriting's on the wall. Tough times are coming. That said, this area behind the garage is going to get transformed into a garden plot next year. So stay tuned for that. I already disassembled part of this fence to get the old dog run out that was back in there. And I'm going to finish taking this down behind this lilac even to the corner. You can see the fence is right here. There's the corner. And we're going to go on this way to the north to the driveway out there behind these weeds right here and around those apple trees and back to the corner of the garage over there by Stinky. I'm probably not going to take out that lilac bush because it has blooming flowers on it. Blooming flowers attract bees and other pollinators, which I'm going to need in my garden to help produce food for me. So don't forget to put a few flowers or something that blooms and flowers in your garden spot. Anyway, that's my rant and rave for this week. Sorry if I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but folks, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Be prepared, do your homework now, and start prepping. Yeah, folks, don't put it off. Forget the new car, forget the new truck. You won't be able to afford them. They're going to come knocking on your door wanting that stuff back, plus back money that you owe. Don't invest in anything right now. Let's get the next couple of years over with. Let's get the next election over with. Don't start on me. I'm neither Republican or Democrat. I want somebody in there that can do the damn job and do it right. They are representing us, the people, not special interest groups. So for heaven's sakes, folks, get yourself prepared, do your research, and don't just vote for whoever you've always voted for in the past party-wise. Do your research. See who's going to have your best interest in mind. And keep in mind, anybody that you're electing that's been in office for more than one term has already been pegged by the special interest groups to give them money to have them vote the way the special interest group wants them to vote. Yeah, it takes one term for those special interest lobbyists to find out who's going to work with them and who won't. They're all over them with campaign funds and all that sort of stuff, buying their votes. And yep, I said that. And don't forget, Nelson Creek Farms is going to have a partial liquidation of a lot of its antique and older equipment that we are no longer using here at the farm. I've got to be a little more conscientious of my penny pinching and what is usable, what I can do to make money off of things like YouTube, for example, or whatever. And yeah, so October 7th, put it on your calendar if you're in the area. The sale starts at 11. Anyway, I hope you found this week's little tips and tricks deal helpful, useful, and whatnot. And if you have any questions about this one or the last one, I'm going to do kind of a follow-up on this one and the last one in the next one coming out probably no later than the middle of next week. So until then, I'm Farmer Dave wishing you well, and please, right down there, subscribe if you would, if you like the content, and we'll catch up with you later. In the meantime, behave, be nice, and be kind. Catch you all later. Bye-bye for now.